Hello everyone, my name is Jose Rodriguez. I'm a student here at the Art of the Comic Book class, uh, which my teacher is Kathleen Dunley. And this is our second project, which is called Teachback. I'm going to be going through a scene from the Fantastic Four series comic number 1, which I decided to substart this presentation, call it the Fantastic Four Group Origins. Uh, we're gonna go through a scene in this specific comic and talk about all the artwork and the basically design. This is the scene that I'm gonna be talking about, which is I'm gonna be talking about the origin of the group, develop of the characters, action effects, the color palette, emphasis on the text and the meaning of it, the nostalgia in the comic, the iconic panel, in setting up for next. Um, so starting with this, sorry it's a little blurry, but I had to basically increase the size of the image. Um, you can see basically the arc in terms of the character and what they have to do. Starting with the face expression, you can see that character either had some like pain or some type of frustration, or he doesn't know what's going on, and then the color effect that they give something yellow to specify that it's hot, and there's something is going on basically around his body. And then it comes says you have turned into a monster, and if you see monster is bull, so basically specifying that people should pay attention of that that word monster. Um, and then both of you is those terrible comments rates. And then now is also ball to basically have some type of effect or something's happening now, so to grab your attention. I know what I've been feeling, so warm. Look at me. So now it says me is the ball too. Now to basically to pay attention of what the character's saying, to look at him, to basically kind of see what's going on, not just on the visual aspect, but also what basically the character is saying itself. They have affected me too. When I get excited, I can feel my body begin to blaze. So as you see, basically the character right now, it's the Human Torch, which just became a whole hollow flame. Back in the day, I mean, obviously they didn't have any face. I think it was basically just the shape of the body of a man, but just basically in flames. So kind of it represents that it's not just flame; it's just basically a person that had turned into flames. Um, Going to the next slide, next panel. Basically, we're going to talk about the angles. Like as you see, some of the angles over here on the fire and those nice curves that goes around and the curve around basically the Human Torch, uh, creating like a movement effect. So you can kind of like imagine that it went through this particular area, and then it went around, and obviously all the colors, the white colors to create like the smoke effect, and basically the color of yellow and red to represent the fire. And as I was saying, like back in the day, it wasn't clear about create a whole like human that you can see through the flames. It mostly about the flames in the shape of a whole human. And in the text, I'm a lighter than air. I can fly. As you see, fly against ball to basically to make people to grab people attention to make sure they understand. Fly is important thing. The man is flying, which is something amazing if a person can do. And you say, look, I can fly. So basically, it's adding excitement to that part of the comic. The next panel, It has a really big text over here. There's not, I mean, it's small what's going on. Mostly it's in black, the characters, and some of the like the coloring scheme is like to represent the big fire. You have the big yellow and red, and then in white and black the forest. And then it has a big text over here of the narration of that specific panel. It says minutes later, Johnny Storm Flame succeed, and he landed near the others. Three silently they watched the small fire he had started in the underbrush burn itself out. Suddenly they were each occupied with their own startling thoughts. So basically, this is the description. They separate the the writers separate basically the narration and put it into a square box in like in a beige type of background, and then over here we have changed all of us. We are more than just humans. So basically, everything that the characters say are they're gonna be like in a bubble white, so representing the conversation about the characters, and you can see they all kind of like saying the same things. That's why you see the four lane like with the bubbles. And again, just to add emphasis to the panel and in that comic, change and all and more is involved to give a little more emphasis to the actually part of the comic. And over here, less images content. Uh, we have a small, like half, and well, not half, probably like a third of the panel covered by the text of the narration, just a small fragment, just because something small that happened, you just wanted basically more detail of what actually happened and kind of uh, show it to you. And then over here, I grabbed two panels basically to um, give expression. Color emotion. Um, over here, if you see in this panel, they just have the face of Mr. Fantastic, and it's all in yellow, especially because yellow is kind of like a traffic light. It's like maybe you can cross, or maybe it's the red light is coming. So that's basically what they put in yellow. It's like he's a little bit in shock, doesn't know what's really going on. We all then, and he's indecisive what's gonna happen, kind of in the future. So that's why basically the yellow representing obviously his face. You can see he's kind of serious, more like in a deep thought, and less is more in here. In this panel, you can see that there's just his face and then basically the color in the background, and then black in the bubble about what he's basically uh, thinking or talking about. Because you don't need more, just with the face expression you kind of like see what's going on with him. And it says, listen to me, all of you. That means that you too, Ben. Together we have more power than any humans have ever possessed, which is a very powerful thing. It's like now we are more than humans, and you're like, okay, what's happening? How are they possible be more than humans? Obviously, it turns into be of the origins of the story, which it happened before the scene that I got, but I just want to talk about the scene completely because it's part of the origin how they all kind of decide to be four together. Um, Over here, in this side, as you see, we have Mr. Fantastic and Ben or the Thing. Um, they're having a conversation, and then you say you don't have to make a speech, be shut. So that means just with that text you can see that basically the thing is a little bit bothered by everything, probably by circumstances now that he doesn't look like any other human, um, compared to, but he kind of like a little bit upset with the whole thing, and basically Mr. Fantastic trying to tell him that everything kind of is gonna be okay, but in his word obviously it's not okay. We have gotta use that power to help mankind, right? Right, Ben? Right. So try to explain to Ben. Something the you know the the comics usually play well is the angles of the characters. So now you can see the Ben basically is kind of on the bottom left, and Mr. Fantastic is up to the right, and you apparently by the image a little bit bigger than the thing. It's to represent the basically he's kind of like not more important, but kind of like the leader, setting him as the leader from the beginning, and then kind of making sure that the thing is a little more like under Mr. Fantastic, like kind of guard. Um, and something that it also is like a nice, outstanding image is about about the thing, because it is I don't know if this is considered like the first kind of comic that uh, basically something that is doesn't look like human. He looks more like a monster, but you can still have he still have like a shirt of of a human. So usually when you see monsters in comic books, they don't have any shirt or they don't have anything. But it's funny over here they still have a representation of a regular human with a shirt. But is the thing, and I think that's kind of funny. Over here, in this part, we have a nice starting with the iconic image, just the representation of they all coming together. Just you don't have anything else, just the hands basically coming together, representing unity in all of them. And then you're like, yeah, now they're like a group of superheroes that they're gonna save the world and all this. And obviously in each of them. So I'm calling myself the Human Torch, and I'm with you all the way, which is great. He says his name, what his name's gonna be, and then he's gonna be part of the group. Same goes for me, the Invisible Girl. There's only one still missing, and obviously they're talking about the thing. Um, and then in this scene, basically he grabbed his hand and now it's complete, and it's basically this is what I mean when I kind of image. Just even if they don't even have any type of text, when you see this expression, it's like they all got together, and it's like, wow, now we have the group of superheroes united. And this is kind of like a nice image to represent. You don't need anything else. There's, like I say, less. Sometimes it's more, because just with this representation, you now feel like the group is complete together. You don't need, any type of really speech. I mean, it's a compliment that they basically now saying they're, mentioning their own name. Now you get the name of all the characters in it. Um, in the last panel, it's kind of like the last image representing the group again together. In text, basically the navigation say, in Go so was born the Fantastic Four, and from that moment on, the world will never again be the same. Sorry, it's a little blurry. Um, but just with that text, it's kind of like, whoa, now it's being created. Everything that happened, now we have basically a whole four superheroes together. It's still, uh, with expression, there's something like fantastic have happened. Like we all the like the shooting, kind of like looks like kind of shooting stars with the yellow and the black, and then the characters are uh, basically in yellow, and Mr. Fantastic is in kind of like purple. I don't know if it basically is kind of like the idea of the author to do that just to basically make clear that Mr. Fantastic is kind of like the leader of the group, kind of like separate him from the other three members. I mean, they're all together, but still, the person kind of like in charge. The whole group, it will be Mr. Fantastic. I think that's why basically he's in purple. And like I say, lace is more another kind of panel where you have the forward then and try and basically just setting up for what's gonna happen next. What's gonna be next in the Fantastic Four series. I mean, obviously the in the issue there's more things that happen, but I wanted to keep this just complete scene because it cannot represent. It's very important for us, especially when we're reading comics, to know where the characters come from, how they uh, origin. Like at the beginning of the comics, the cover you can see they're already there, and the comics usually start with like they saving people, but then when you go into the middle of the issue, like before the scene that I choose, it represent you can see how basically the characters became superheroes, and the thing that I basically went through is how they became a group and how they call themselves the Fantastic Fours. In conclusion, is that my name is Jose Rodriguez, here at the art of the comic book class with my teacher Kathleen Dunley, and this is my second project number 2, Teachback, which I call the Fantastic Four Group Origin. Um, I got my citation from the Stanley Fantastic Four comics. This is the series that we just basically read, and also I put an image of the kind of the latest Fantastic Four, so we can kind of like see they compare about like how the first issue like kind of represent the Fantastic Four, and then one of the ladies and this was in 2019 that was coming out. It's part of, I think, like kind of like a remake of the origin stories, um but you can see how different is. They're more like focused on the characters. Over here it's like more things are happening. There's just like representation, kind of like a finer praying. As you see, like you can even see the Human Torch over here, like it's just a ball of flame, kind of human representation. Over here you can see the fire, and you can see actually the Human Torch body to it. So there's a lot of difference, and I wanted to keep with that. But hope you guys enjoy this presentation, and thank you very much.